And when it comes to icons in the entertainment industry, you just said it, our next guest really says it all.
Absolutely. He's a four-time Grammy Award winner, an official Texas state musician. He's even in the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame. And
he's also one of the nicest guys you could ever meet on the planet. Joining us now, Houston's very own Lyle Lovett himself. Mr. Lovett, it is so great to see you. How's everything going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and I'm honored to be here in the new time slot.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's great to see you. The last time the three of us actually hung out, like we're old friends here, was December 1st, back at the Sunday night showdown for the Texans game. We had such a blast chatting with you.
Well, thanks for having me on then. You know, it's such a thrill to get to go to a Texans game, and I got to sing the national anthem that night, and it's always an honor to sing the national anthem, but to be able to do it for my hometown sports teams is just a special honor, and it was, you know, I just jump at the chance anytime I get to.
Well, and Lyle, you've had such a dynamic career. I swear there's nothing you cannot do. Are people surprised when they find out that you grew up here in Klein?
Oh gosh, well, I'm pretty vocal about where I grew up. My family has been in North Harris County in the Klein community since the early 1850s. It was my great-great-grandfather Adam Klein was the first Klein that settled there. And so the Klein family is my family, and we're really proud of our heritage, proud of our school district. I went to Klein High School. I went to Klein High School with Mayor Turner. Mayor Turner was a senior when I was a sophomore, and he was senior class president. So he was a leader then, and well loved in the school. So Houston is the Houston area is home to me, and I'm so proud to talk about Houston and about Harris County wherever I go.
Well, and we love that too, and we love that you're still here and really making time for us on the show today too. Lyle, what has life been like during this crazy time of COVID? I know you're busy with your family, but besides family, are you able to perform at all?
Well, I'm not able to go out and play. I'm in my garage right now. I'm in the garage, so that's what it's like.
You're in your home studio garage.
We do things in the garage. I've been a part of some online performances, some fundraising efforts, and then some some just fundraising efforts. Just doing it for fun. I've done a few online shows that I've hosted. I have a couple more coming up. The end of this month, but I'll be part of the Minnesota State Fair, the virtual Minnesota State Fair, and a part of Ed Asner's annual poker tournament fundraiser. But it's wonderful in a way to be able to connect with so many people at once from your garage. But I can't help but think about how different this summer is than last summer, when I traveled from coast to coast and got to see all the members of my large band and played beautiful places like the Red Rocks Amphitheater outside of Denver. And,
gorgeous.
We played the Smart Financial Center last summer in the Houston area, and places, great places across the country. And this summer's a different experience.
Different indeed. It's so great seeing these photos from your acoustic group tour, and who knew that COVID was ahead of us. But you touched on this a moment ago, Lyle. Now, even though you are there at home in your garage, which looks like a stage to me, we would never have guessed it's your garage. Now you really can reach a very broad audience, right? Virtually performing anywhere, including places like Astros opening day.
Well, that once again, it was an honor to sing the national anthem, and I was just thrilled that Astros had had me on opening day. But I recorded the national anthem and God Bless America, right here in the garage, and there it was on TV. So it is extraordinary, really, that you can do something like that, and the technology exists. Gosh, when I think back to making my first demo tapes back in the 1970s when I was in school up at Texas A&M, I would never have dreamed something like this was possible. But,
right. I mean, we've all been so resourceful in trying to just work and obviously getting your music out and heard by all your fans. I understand. So your first instrument was the guitar in second grade?
My mom and dad both worked for Exxon. They were career folks for Exxon, and made the commute from Klein to downtown every day. It was about 28 miles each way. And in those days, it took a long time to get into town from North Harris County as well, because the roads were smaller and there weren't as many of them. But they made that trip every day, and they gave me the chance to do things that they didn't have a chance to do when they were growing up. My mom came home from work one day and said, "Well, what do you think about taking guitar lessons?" And I just thought, well, I don't know, but it sounds like fun to me. And so I started doing that. A gentleman out in Tomball named Charles Winchie was my first guitar teacher. And then after that, I started taking guitar lessons downtown Houston on Main Street at the old Halbert and Walker Music Company, and then later at H&H Music Company, all through high school. But it was because of my parents and their hard work and giving me opportunities that I got to do things that I love to do in my life.
And Lyle, you mentioned your time at Texas A&M. You actually majored in German and journalism, which I was surprised to hear. Back then, what had you envisioned for your career path in life?
I started playing out. I started playing as a summer job in the summer of 1976, my first summer home from school. And so playing and singing was what I knew I wanted to do. I just didn't think it was a realistic aspiration, in terms of having a real job. But I always enjoyed writing, and so I was a journalism major, and just really enjoyed it, and worked with so many talented people. The battalion, the daily paper at Texas A&M, provided us so much opportunity. We could work as much as we wanted to, and there were, I had classmates who went on to become real journalists who had the same passion for journalism that I did for music, and they lived at the newspaper. And I learned so much from them. I learned about writing. I learned about taking pictures, all things that that I still enjoy today. But I worked with some really talented people in the journalism department at Texas A&M. I was doing my best to stay in school as long as I could, so I realized that German, because of my family background, the Kleins, I was always interested in being able to figure out what my grandparents were saying about us in front of us in German. So I took German in a self-defense in a way, and I realized I had almost enough hours to finish up a second degree. So I did that really as an effort to stay in school longer, which I just enjoyed being there and getting to play gigs and go to class. It was a wonderful time.
It's really a wonderful story that you're sharing with us. And, we just filled a reporter position here. So, Lyle, maybe when he's on vacation, we can have you come in and do the reporting skills for us. Just kidding.
Hey, so, keep me in mind, the way things are going.
Right? You never know. You never know. So you really are. I mean, I like to say that a friend of the show, but you're a triple threat. I mean, you're an absolutely wonderful man, a great singer, songwriter, but also an actor. And I love I forgot about all of the titles and roles that you have done over the years. It's really remarkable. I mean, do you love that? Do you kind of got the acting bug a little bit?
Oh, for sure. Acting is so much fun, and it's a chance for me to get to work with smart and talented people that I haven't met before, that I may be a fan of. It was because of Robert Altman really casting me in his film The Player that I've had acting opportunities. And that picture you just put up, that's Donnie Wahlberg, and what a lovely gentleman he is. I got to do an episode of Blue Bloods back in January of this year, and they cast me as a Texas Ranger for some reason or other.
I don't know why.
And had just a big time getting to play cowboy in New York City, and Donnie just couldn't have been nicer. All my scenes were with him, and we'd hang out in between shots, and gosh, he took me to dinner one night. I mean, he's just a lovely guy, and we've stayed in touch. It was just one of those work experiences you don't count on introducing you to people who become part of your life, but it was a great one.
Well, we are enjoying your conversation with us today, and I know we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. I know you're going to stay in your garage studio there because Lyle's going to stick around for a little bit more of the show.
Yeah, he's going to share a special performance of one of his favorite songs, and guess what, folks? It is about Houston. Don't go away. We'll be right back. right, we are back with the one and only Lyle Lovett. Thanks again for making time for us today at Houston Life, Lyle. And we want to take a step back in time, and someone who had a major influence on you and your career, Don Sanders?
Yeah, Don Sanders was a dear friend. We lost him 2 years ago, but Don Sanders was part of the Anderson Fair family of singer-songwriters. Anderson Fair Retail Restaurant is a wonderful listening room that still exists in the Montrose. Started in 1969, and it holds about 75 or 80 people, completely packed. But when someone is playing and singing in Anderson Fair, you could hear a pin drop. People go there to listen to songwriters and what they have to say, and it took me several years to work up to being able to play there. But I tell you, I felt like I'd really that I was going somewhere when I got to play at Anderson Fair. It was Eric Taylor and Nancy Griffith who introduced me to the owners of Anderson Fair, Tim Leatherwood and the late Roger Ruffcorn, and I was able to get an entry-level slot there and start playing my own songs for the first time at Anderson Fair. And it's over on the corner of Grant and Welsh in the Montrose, and still has performances on the weekends. It's run by an all-volunteer staff. It's not the kind of place. It's not exactly the kind of business model that people embrace to make a lot of money. But it is home for not only local musicians but touring national singer-songwriters who love to play in a place where people will actually listen to them. Don Sanders was always called the mayor of Montrose, and he's featured prominently, as are Eric Taylor and Nancy Griffith, in Bruce Bryant's film, For the Sake of the Song, The Story of Anderson Fair, a documentary that Bruce and Jim Barham produced and directed a few years ago about Anderson Fair. And it tells the story, and it tells really not just the story of these performers, but it tells the story of the time and how contiguous the events in Houston were with what was going on in the Haight-Ashbury days, for example, in San Francisco, and in the folk days in the 60s in New York, when Bob Dylan was first starting out. Similar things were going on in Houston, and Anderson Fair. There's Bruce Bryant right there. Bruce Bryant worked for Channel 2, for KPRC, for 30 years, and he was his last position there was as creative director, and he and Jim Barham and Tony Bruni they extended their hands in friendship to lift up many of us wayward singer-songwriters who really needed help. Bruce produced a show called The Lilo Show that comes on after Monty Python.
Oh, yeah.
That aired in the wee hours of Sunday morning on Channel 2. And he featured national acts that would be coming through town in a live setting, but he also featured lots of local folks, and I'm really honored that I got to do the Lilo Show at one point. But it was pre-recorded but taped and as if live. And Bruce Bryant, I tell you, has just been a friend to all of us in the songwriter community in Houston all these years.
It's really fantastic, and I know Anderson Fair Retail Restaurant, they said on their website, hopefully back in September, but to just keep a lookout for that. But that documentary too will be fantastic to see. And I know, Lyle, you have a performance for us, and you talk a little bit about the song that we're going to hear here.
Don Sanders wrote the bio song, and Don Sanders, talking about my journalism days, Don Sanders was the first music interview that I got to do for the battalion. My regular beat was the Bryan City Council, but every now and then the editor would let me write an advance story about someone who was coming to town, and Don Sanders was coming to Texas A&M to play at the Coffee House, and I got to drive down to Houston and interview him. And it's supposed to be about a 30-minute interview, and we sat together at the IHOP on Memorial Drive for 3 hours one Saturday afternoon, and he was so kind to me. And I got to ask him all the questions that I had for him from listening to his music. And he was just a wonderful, wonderful person and a wonderful teacher to me. And his song, the bio song, is just one of my favorite songs about Houston. Well, thank you for letting me do it.
Yeah, well, of course, I think we have that song queued up right now. It's even more meaningful hearing the backstory, but let's roll the tape.
When I was a child, we lived a mile from the bayou. My parents hard working the dry August ground. The kids crossed the road, they said we'd go into the bayou where there's water that moves without making a sound. There's a spirit that covers a bayou, a surface quiet and calm, slow, dark, vertigo water, swallow me, feed me, float me to a land. The mansion rose above the brown of the prairie, white wooden and silent between the bayou and me. A hot, dusty wind moves through motionless porches and empty swing creaks at the touch of the breeze. There's a spirit that covers a bayou, a surface quiet and calm, slow, dark, vertigo waters, swallow me, feed me, float me to a land. A rowboat afloat like a log in the moonlight. The turtles were breathing, a snake jerked and swam. Alone on the banks, following coon tracks to the edge of a sandbar and the shell of a clam. There's a spirit that covers a bayou, a surface quiet and calm, slow, dark, vertigo water, swallow me, feed me, float me to a land, swallow me, feed me, float me to a land.
Oh, Lyle, that was fantastic. And I love hearing the backstory. I appreciate it even that much more.
Thanks for having me on, Courtney.
Yeah, and I think Don Sanders would be very proud. When we saw you last about 6 months ago, we had talked about having you come on Houston Life and perform. Again, no one assumed it would be like this with you in your garage and us here in Studio B. But Lyle, you know you have a standing invitation. Once we're past COVID, we would love to have you here in studio.
Well, congratulations on all your success with the show, and especially in this new time slot. Just wish you continued success, and we'll keep watching.
Thank you so much, Lyle. It's great to catch up with you.